Hi, Country Changers. Welcome to the feature month of Edward River Council. And I'm joined by Nicole Young, who has moved to Deniliquin in the Edward River Council area in January 2024. So, Nicole, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thanks, Laticia. It's nice to be here.
So, based on the picture behind you, people are going to assume you have something to do with irrigation. Tell us about your move to Deniliquin for your job.
Sure. So I moved to Deniliquin in January 2024 to take up the role of HR manager at Murray Irrigation. So we have quite a large footprint that covers the Finley, Walkall and Deniliquin areas, amongst others. But that's our footprint where we have our depots based, and we provide water, deliver water.
So actually, I might even bring up the map for people so they get an understanding of where Edward River Council region is. So you've moved up from Melbourne. You mentioned you were on the sort of northern end of that, but Melbourne City itself is about 3.5 hours dead south of the Edward River Council area, Deniliquin specifically. And as you mentioned, it covers Murray Irrigation itself covers not only the ERC, but a wider region outside of that. And Murray Irrigation, don't take that as gospel, the little circle I just wrote. I'm just moving the mouse around. But Murray Irrigation is a really big employer across the Riverina and Murray, I believe. Tell me what sort of enticed you to make the move from Melbourne to the country?
So in 2020, at the height of all of the COVID crazy Melbourne lockdowns, obviously my husband and I were part of all of that, and no one did lockdown like Melbourne, as we all know. So we were confined to our houses. We had 8 p.m. curfews, and we were only allowed to go 5 kilometers from home. My husband and I were lucky that we both had jobs where we could work remotely, so that was the positive side. But we were just restless. We were just wondering, like what is this? What is going on here? And is there something more? Is there something better for us? So we started thinking, oh, maybe we should move to Queensland. And I think I think everyone was moving to Queensland at the time. Melbourne had this massive influx of people just moved to Queensland. And we were sort of toying that with that idea, and we just thought, oh no, this is all too hard. Let's just stay where we are for now and think about, what we really want to do as a bit of a long-term plan. So we started to think maybe we'll move regionally. Maybe it's not Queensland. And then in 2021, COVID was, still going a little bit, and we were still early 2021. We still had lockdown, and we were still feeling that whole we don't belong, we don't feel settled here. So yeah, I think we just continued on. We didn't make any rash decisions at that stage. We just sort of just kept going on, kept working away, doing our thing. All of our family are around us back home in Melbourne. And so we just got into that pattern. And then all of a sudden, again, it came up in conversation. Oh, maybe we should think about, where we're going to end, where we're going to land for our future. And regional areas sort of started to pop up. And this job just came up on LinkedIn, and it was sort of presented to me, and I felt like it was a sign that, maybe there was something in the region, in the Edward River region in Deniliquin calling me. So, you know, threw my hat in for the ring of the job, and next minute I was touring Deniliquin, having a look around, and came to meet the team, and went through the interview process, and here I am. The rest is history.
And had you been to Deniliquin prior to that, or was it completely foreign to you?
It was completely foreign to me. The only thing I knew about Deniliquin was that they had this quite famous thing called the Deni Ute Muster. That was the only thing I knew about Deniliquin.
Yes, the Deni Ute Muster and the Ute on the pole are probably very famous draw cards to the region, as well as obviously the beautiful Murray River. Sorry, the Edward River. Not too far from the Murray River. So obviously you had to like the region? What was it about Deni that, apart from the job, drew you in?
I think the first time we came into town, right from that first, recce sort of visit to just check the place out, we spent the weekend here. I think we drove into town and we felt like it just wrapped its arms around you. Like I felt like Deni just felt immediately like home. It felt like it was giving you a great big hug as soon as you drove into town. The people, I think the first thing we noticed was everywhere we went, right from the hotel where we were staying, right through to every restaurant we had dinner, even just walking down the street, people smile at you, people say hello. I think we were blown away by how nice people were. So you walk into a shop and they straight away are asking you hello, or they greet you with a hello, a warm welcome, and they genuinely seem interested to serve you. Whereas we haven't been used to that. So that for us was a big, big shock when we first came to town. So the people were so welcoming. There was no traffic lights. There's no traffic lights in Deni, which is fantastic, and there's no parking meters. So we just liked the fact that it was quiet, it's easy to get around, there's no traffic jams, no one seemed to be in a hurry. So people are courteous, they back out of the car parks and they wait. People wait for you to back out of your car park. They're not bipping at you waiting for you to get out of the way. It just felt like a really nice place to be. It felt like a nice place to live. And we left here thinking, wow, this is really exciting. This is something we could actually see us loving living here and really embracing that. So then there was excitement about like, is everything going to fall into place? Is this actually going to happen? And then it did.
And I think that exact story of when you first entered the town was actually shared. I'll bring up the page. It was actually that exact same reference, I guess, was shared by the people that we interviewed in our recent video. Debbie and Ian Goodway, who own the Deni Golf Course. And there's one of the shopkeepers that you're talking about. That's a really cool shop. It sells all this amazing vintage secondhand clothing, and I may or may not have done some damage in that shop with my
I know the shop.
it's so
And I know
good.
Kate. I know Kate, the owner, as well.
And she's like just divine.
Yes.
But in that video, and you can find this if you're watching at the Country Change website under Our Places, head to the Edward River page. And like always, we have a great amount of information in here, some obviously beautiful imagery of the river. The towns and villages that make up ERC are Deni, Wanganella, Blighty. I never know how to say it. I think it's Mayrung.
Around, yeah.
And Riverina. I'm going to get punished for not getting the pronunciation correct, I'm sure. But there's Debbie and Ian, I think it was Ian, talked about how when he came over that bridge, he just felt like he'd come home. So it's interesting that you used a similar reference, that you just felt like a big hug.
Yeah,
So
really did. Yeah.
So what did hubby think of the move?
He was open to it. He was like, I'm gonna throw my hat in here and fully support my wife in this journey, in what she wants to do. And he had a job, so he had a job lined up. So things sort of it just all was falling into place just quite seamlessly, and it was just felt like it was meant to be. We were really lucky. We found a house. We spoke to the real estate agents and explained our situation, that we were moving for work. And while they didn't have anything advertised on their real estate pages, they were able to find us something. So initially, because that was a concern, because it was a tricky time and things were hot on the market, and it was like, oh, how are we gonna do this? Because housing's one of those things, you think, oh gosh, is there going to be anything for us? Is there going to be anything for us there? And we were just lucky. We were just really lucky. I spoke to real estate, and next minute we were picking up keys with a trailer on the back with just a few bits and pieces just to get ourselves settled, and then back home to get more the next trip.
That's such a fun adventure by the sounds of it. And
Was.
um, I think you've actually brought up a really important part. I mean, it just seems nationally we've got a housing shortage. Regional areas are in particular. Um, it's just been in demand for years since COVID. And whilst it's slightly better, the approach that you took by speaking to real estate agents directly and sort of getting on their watch list is such an important step. So if people are interested in making a country change, obviously go out and research it, reach out to employers, real estate agents, do your homework. And even if it's months before you want to move, just do your groundwork. And even if it's just a rental or to actually purchase a property, because things can, depending on what the market's like, can be a little bit slower. So I'm glad to hear that worked out so beautifully for you. Um, in terms of the industries available in employment, your husband's a tradie, he's a construction supervisor, so we know how in demand they are. But other employers across the region are obviously the Murrumbidgee Local Health District. So they've got a hospital there and some of the other medical services that they provide, Interreach, obviously the council, Murray Irrigation, where you work, and Sunrise. And they've got, I mean, they're a national, international food brand. Um, is that something that surprised you in terms of what was available, not only from an employment perspective, but also from a services and even things like going out for a coffee? Do you want for anything?
I don't think we want for anything here. We've got so many great cafes, and so many great hotels for that have the most amazing meals. I don't think we've been out yet. We go out a lot, but I don't think we've been out yet and had a meal where we've been disappointed. We've actually really enjoyed everything we've eaten here in Denny. I think there must be something about farmer-sized meals because every time we sit down, there's this massive plate of food. And my husband and I look at each other and like, and we do the whole thing of like, this is a $20 meal or $18 meal or something. And we look at it and we go, wow, this would be $40 back in Melbourne. We have this little chuckle about the difference of the size of the meal and then the price. So we've got some great stores, got some great boutiques, like ladies' clothes and other sorts of fashion. But we have lost a couple of our bigger stores. But we're always open to introducing some new local businesses and embracing those. And people are keen to embrace local businesses that move into town. So there's been some new food shops open up just recently, and they have been really well supported and are doing quite well. So which is really good to see.
Mm. Um, that brings up a couple of points. One is councils in regional areas, particularly ERC council, they're very supportive of talking to people who might be interested in starting a new business, and they're going to be able to link you into places but share where the gaps in the market and opportunities are. So I do recommend you reach out to the guys at council, and the details are on our website. But also the arts scene is incredible. The performing arts and the visual arts scene is just phenomenal in Deniliquin itself and the wider area. And if you've never heard of it, it's what's it called? Now I've put myself on the spot. What's the university for the older?
Oh, University of the Third Age or something like, is that the one?
U3A, that's it,
Yeah,
U3A.
U3A, yeah.
We again did a video on them for Deniliquin, and they are the busiest people in the world. When I turn 60, I'm going to move to Deniliquin just so I have that much to do. It is insane. Like that every single day there's multiple activities, and we're not talking just like lawn bowls. No offense to lawn bowls, because that's great, but it's everything from yoga in the park to mahjong and all sorts of
Yes.
thing. Like they're
Yeah.
super active.
There's lots to do. There's a men's shed here. There's a group that get together. There's a men's shed. They've got a little local shop front in the main street, and there's so many things for people to do here. We went to the Carols by Candlelight just before Christmas and noticed the local talent in music. Some of the young people that got up were singing were just outstanding and talented musicians, talented singers. And there was a group of there's a let's say they're older choir, so they're a more distinguished group. They were brilliant. So and the bands that played, like it was very impressive. The music was, we were actually very, very pleasantly surprised at how the variety of what people were doing in town. And that was a great event put on by council,
Yeah.
and supported by a lot of people in the park. Bring your chair, bring your picnic rug and your picnic. There was food available, food vans. Santa was there. It was just such a great family event. There was a petting zoo, like you could pet the little baby lambs and goats and chickens and things. It was lots of fun, and those things have such a great sense of community and are so good for bringing people together. It was well attended, well supported. It was such a great night.
Yeah, and they're big on music, and they do actually attract. I know Keith Urban was there a couple of years ago, and obviously the Deni Ute Muster, which is attracts big headlines as well. That's been going for, don't quote me, well over 10, potentially nearly 20 years now.
I believe so, yeah. And I think last year they had like 20,000. It brings like 20,000 people to town. It's such a great thing for the town. And I think, it puts Denny on the map.
And it is actually Deni Ute Muster. I'm just going to bring up for people who aren't familiar with it, but it is a family friendly event. So there are definitely areas where families are welcome to camp and it's safe, and those day activities are great. Don't get me wrong, you've still got your what should we call it, the ones that are there for a good time all night.
Yeah.
But the lineup's great. I mean, this is the 2025 one, but you can camp there and there's great merchandise and all sorts of catering and whatnot. So it is a really awesome event that brings in, like you said, so many people from across Australia. What else? And I'll just bring up, actually, on the Country Change page, we list the childcare, primary schools, high school, and the TAFE that is available across the Edward River Council region. Your children are all grown up, which is hard to believe, but it's obviously a great place for young families as well.
Yeah, we have there's a lot of opportunity for young people here, and that's only going to improve. We've got new councillors and a new CEO has joined the council, and I think that will help to give a bit of life to promoting youth activities in our town. It's definitely needed. Definitely need more for young people. We need more sporting. We need them to get engaged and get involved in sport, and get involved in those music groups and other, community activities to sort of give them something to do.
Yeah, I know the Outback Theatre for young people is also an amazing outlet for people who might be into the performing arts, and they also bring in resident artists and installations and all sorts of things. So they're a great little group. And gosh, again, they've been around for decades. So just finally, is there anything else, like when your friends and family ask you about your move, about your country change to Edward River, what do you tell them when first of all, do they go, "You're crazy"? Where have you moved to? Why?
Yeah. So I think at the start they were a bit shocked. They were a bit taken back because they probably didn't pick us as the kind of people that would move to a country town. And we tell them, it's less than 8,000 or around 8,000 people or so that live in Denny, and there's no traffic lights and no parking meters, and people think, how can you, how you're not that kind of person. You love going out to the city. You love going to nice restaurants and you love going to the theater and you like going, out and about. So you like the trains and you like the trams. So how does that happen that you just land in somewhere like Deniliquin? And so we just tell them, it's a 4-minute drive to work. And if I want to, I can pop down to the river. I can walk to the river in my lunch break. That's how close the river, McLean's Beach, is to my office. And people just get really like, oh, wow, you used to do a 1 hour, 20-minute commute to the city that was, it involved a car and a train and then a tram. And now you drive for 4 minutes and you're in your office. And I think they're kind of surprised that, and secretly they're probably a little bit jealous, but no one would ever say that. But yeah, I think they're really happy. Our family were happy for us that we'd made this decision. Obviously, we're a few hours away from them, but it's not that far, and we can pop home. We do pop home regularly to visit family and keep in touch with them over the phone and all the other ways that you can communicate these days via social media. So look, you just make it work, and it's just as far from here to there as it is from there to here. They always know, our family always know they're welcome anytime to pop up and visit us. We'll always find them a space, and so we just love it. We love being here. We love that we've done this. My husband said to me recently, our 5 to 10 year plan. Well, we did it 5 to 10 years too late. We should have done it 5 to 10 years ago. So. At the time when we were hesitating, we probably should have just taken that leap of faith and just did it right back then, instead of waiting and thinking, and just do it. Like, I think if you're thinking about it, you've got to just go there, just take that risk, go and check it out, and take that leap of faith and hope that things just fall into place. And for us, they have.
Yeah, and look, that's a perfect place to wrap it up. And if people are interested in making a country change, you can head to our website, countrychange.com.au, head over to our places in the top menu bar that I showed you earlier, and check out the Edward River page. The details of the council is on there. And like I said, council is always open to talking to people who might be interested in a move, or reach out to us at the RDA, Riverina and Murray websites as well. And we can assist you in answering any of those questions and connect you with the right people. So Nicole, thank you so much for sharing your country change story with us. It's so great to hear that you've just fit right in, and you've both landed on your feet and just seem to be loving life.
Absolutely, we are. We're very grateful for the town that has welcomed us as well.